What is going on, guys? It's Adam A.K. Marf. Today's show is packed. We're going to talk about the moon wobble information that just came out. We're also going to talk about everything else. There is a ton that just popped out. In fact, this day is probably one of the craziest days we've had. So stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Remember, nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else on the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. What is going on, guys? It is Adam A.K. Marf, and today is absolutely insane. If you did not go over and check out the video on Marfoogle News, I did a video at 1:30 a.m. when I found out about the moon wobble. I know that there is mixed feelings about that. A lot of comments basically saying, if it comes from NASA, then it's, never a straight answer and all this. Oh, no, I totally get that. What I am saying is, if you've been under a rock for the last 24 hours, essentially NASA basically came out with a new study saying in 2030 or in the 2030s, we're going to have massive worldwide flooding because the moon will be on an 18-year cycle and it will wobble and it will cause all this flooding. Again, I think they don't know how bad it's going to be, or maybe they do know how bad it's going to be. Somebody commented, hey, shouldn't we be able to look back 18 years and say, this caused flooding? Apparently, because what I heard is that it's the circumstances now, so things have changed. So that sounds kind of fishy to me. Did we have worldwide flooding before? This is, they're saying that this time it's going to be 10 times worse because of the perfect storm or something. So again, that is just absolutely mind-boggling. Are they getting us ready for something more? I don't know. What I do know is they're doing exfil practices in major cities all around the country. Again, they're not reporting it. That's the thing. A few years ago, they were doing kind of rooftop swoop-ups with Blackhawks, and they weren't telling anybody about it. And a few years ago, they did announce like Pittsburgh and some others, and the whole internet went nuts. This one in Seattle that they just did, they didn't tell anybody. So I believe that this is happening in more places than you think, and I'm guessing that it's exfil practice where they're trying to, extract somebody off of a roof or practice to do that. Why would they need to do that? Why are we trying to go to space? All that. So if you're new here, again, we're going to talk about all that more. We like to back up every single story, tweet, video, and even the transcript from my show. If I make a prediction, you can actually search, Marf said, I believe in 2022 that the moon will fall out of the sky. You can look that up on our website, and you can actually see what episode I said it in. As the ones that we've actually started archiving that as well. So it's really amazing. You can basically go back through all of the news that is here. Now, if you go to the website, it's very easy to navigate. It is by thumbnail, so just look for this thumbnail. When you see that, click it. It's coming true. Prediction of world collapse from 1972. It's coming true. Moon wobble. When you click that, you'll see every single article, tweet, video that we have here today. On top of that, there is web-only content about, of course, all of the counting going on, and, of course, all of the too hot for TV stuff that basically isn't acceptable unless you have a 3-digit agency like CIA, CNN, MSNBC, all those. So, again, if you want to check that out. And then on the right is all the ways to support us through our affiliates, through our PayPal, through Amazon. All of that is over on the right if you want to support us. Let's bring in Dex, my co-host / internet brother. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we'll get right into it. SOS Cuba demonstrators blocked Palmetto Expressway traffic for hours. So a lot of videos are going around, especially even on Instagram, of showing these kind of rooftop shots of people, just chaos, people looting, people burning cars in dealerships and all this stuff. Kind of some of the images, in fact, I'm like, wow, this is just crazy images of Cuba. I'm just wondering, though, how, have we not seen any kind of thing on any social media before You just really don't see any TikToks or anything else from Cuba. And then all of a sudden, we're just flooded with all of these videos of this stuff going on. What's even funnier is, or not funny, I should say, what's even crazier is a lot of the stuff that's going on there, it looks a lot like the U.S. was last year. It's pretty nuts. And, of course, if you followed that, then you know that even just a couple people can get those things started. Especially when, money might be involved or looting and things like that. So, again, parts of the Palmetto Expressway were shut down Tuesday due to demonstrators rallying for freedom in Cuba. Dozens of demonstrators began their rally at Coral Way and Southwest 82nd Avenue and then marched their way onto 826, blocking traffic in both directions. This is rare because, of course, it is Cuba. It is a communist state, and they don't allow them to do these things. It says that police blocked...
Well, and in this case, Adam, what's even crazier is that this is, or I don't say crazier, but just different, is this is actually in Miami. So the protesting has spread out of the country into our country, right?
Yeah,
so as we're seeing this happen in multiple places now.
And again, the stuff that's going on in Cuba and now apparently in other places, we're going to talk about that later. But in California, you have stuff going on that is not even being reported, or at least Twitter is saying that. So you've got stuff in Miami. You've got stuff in, of course, apparently New York is having things go down in the street with Cuban Americans. So this is like really trippy. It says, "We are fighting for freedom. It is very difficult. American people need to join with the Cuban," said one protester. Even in traffic, Cuban flags were everywhere, still supporting the movement. During the day, crowds of demonstrators made their way onto the expressway, blocking traffic for hours in both directions between Coral Way and Bird Road. So, again, a lot of the videos, not only from here, but from there, all of a sudden just flooded the internet. You see a lot of shots from actual Cuba, not Miami, but from Cuba, that are just multiplying like crazy. It's like all these videos. I don't think I've really seen any of that content. What that tells me, and I'm sure there was content before, but it's like it's the algorithm pushing those up to the top. How are they spreading like wildfire? What is your opinion on that? If I'm wrong and we had tons of Cuban content on all of these platforms, all of them, then, I didn't know where that was. Wages World, keep doing what you do. I wish I would support you more. Best news on the net. By the way, Wages, we wanted to get you on. I just texted you, so I don't know if you're trying to get on. But I'd love to hear about your other stories that you got there. Wages World said that he's got some stuff with the world wobble as well. So the planet is supposedly going to wobble alongside that. And then we have pole shift and all these other things going crazy. Do the people above know this? Is there going to be a lot more protests? Plus, in the future, I want to talk about some of the stuff, some really creepy new things that have kind of popped up from Nostradamus. As you know, Nostradamus made a lot of predictions, and a lot of them were scarily true. Like, of course, WW2 with Hister is what he kept referring to Adolf as, and the German infant and the German army in its infancy and all this stuff. All these weird things that he, of course, said that has come true. And then some of his predictions that kind of correlate with right now, modern day, especially with the locusts. The locusts we've been following for the last 2 years in Africa, going across South Asia. Now we're hearing, that this next season after 17 years could be the worst, and it could come through the Midwest. If we had a locust thing as bad as they did in Africa go through the Midwest, we could literally go through a famine. I mean, it's incredible what is happening right now. It is biblical. It is literally biblical. Now, as far as, we're protesting in the streets, or supposedly people all over the country are going out and of course, protesting this, Russia, China, and the I country warned the U.S. must not intervene in the Cuban situation. It says that all three of those countries have warned the United States that it must not intervene in Cuba after the island was rocked by major protests for which U.S. Pres JB cast his support, as Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez rallied against, quote, the increased aggression of the U.S. government during lengthy remarks delivered to the press Tuesday in the wake of the historic anti-government demonstrations alleging shortages alleging, this is why they're breaking stuff, alleging shortages in the CVVs. So, and basic humanitarian needs. His message was echoed by three powers deeply critical of Washington's foreign policy toward Savannah. Now, I just want to give both sides of the stone here. A lot of people that have come out from Cuba, even had stuff in, Cuban landmarks in the background, have said that it is less about some of the public reasons and more about the fact that they live in this, social place, right? Very social, if you know what I mean. Again, this is there's a matter of debate there. I'll leave for you guys to debate that. In Moscow, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rakyapov, which we cover like every week, met with Cuban Ambassador Julio Jarmendia Pena for a discussion earlier Tuesday in which, quote, the Russian side expressed solidarity, sounds like a Beavis and Butthead character there, solidarity with Cuba's government and people, and promised all-around support to the efforts toward the soonest normalization of the situation. So back to normal socialism. The sides express confidence that the situation will return to normal soon. One thing I ask is, does Russia and China know something that we don't? Are they seeing, one of our agencies or are one of their agencies involved? You never know if KGB, CIA, or any of these are actually going in and instigating things, doing strategic things to start things up or to trigger things. These people normally don't do this. What actually triggered it, besides if they say that it's the food and everything else, I could see that. But some say that, on the other side of the coin, that it was the rules and how the rules got worse about, even their, even though they don't have complete freedom there, they even restricted it further for other things. So that's why they kind of got triggered. What is the true reason? If you know, please let me know. If you have proof of it, please email me at adam@marfooglenews.com. I'd love to see it. And then, as far as Cuba goes, we'll continue to cover it and we'll continue to follow it. Again, any information that we get, we try to verify it, check it, and then pass it on. Here is a really trippy scenario. MIT predicted in 1972 that society will collapse this century. New research says that we are on schedule. It says in 1972, MIT study predicted that rapid economic growth would lead to societal collapse in the mid-21st century. So in mid, 2050, around now. A new paper shows, unfortunately, right on schedule. A remarkable new study by a director of one of the largest accounting firms in the world has found that a famous decades-old warning from MIT about the risk of industrial civilization collapsing appears to be accurate based on new empirical data. So this is another thing that we talked about with the Deagle report. Edwin Deagle actually talked about a lot of this stuff. Back in the 70s, he was working for presidents. He worked for, I believe, 4 different presidents in his lifetime career. He worked under different things, and his expert analysis of everything, his specialty was the numbers and was data, and of course these risk assessments and all of these things. And he is the one who created Deagle.com, which is now a different form of it after he passed away. And he is the one who predicted that we would have this mass depopulation event, an event where just the United States alone would lose 2/3 of our population. This was put in with graphs, and it was based on information that came from every single country. Was something like this a part of that? That is a question that I want to ask. It says, as the world looks forward to a rebound in economic growth following the devastation wrought by the pandemic, the research raises urgent questions about the risks of attempting to simply return to pre-normal. It says in 1972, a team of MIT scientists got together to study the risks of civilizational collapse. Their systems dynamic model, published by the Club of Rome, identified impending limits to growth. impending. So it was headed their way. That meant industrial civilization was on track to collapse sometime within the 21st century due to overexploitation of planetary resources. Dex, so is this kind of part of what the general narrative is on as far as the planet resources, how we've got these deadlines and 10 years to running out of things and all of this?
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to think if they saw this in 72 with analysis, people have been, especially the people at the top, have been analyzing this since 72. So it's not surprising that we're seeing all of these major pushes for different things, whether it's getting off Earth, whether it's, changing the way we do certain things, because they're obviously somebody's looking at this and thinking there's a problem. At least that's the narrative, right?
Yes, exactly. Now, with everything that is actually happening here, let's see here. I think it's really, really creepy that even the data suggests this. It's like all of the open signs are pointed this way, but now there are a lot of people, even in the Fugel family, that said that they looked over this study and said that this looks pretty simple. Like it's actually kind of cut and dry in the direction that we're going. And most of us have thought, at least the dollar was going to collapse. Again, we've been basically borrowing off of debt. We've been creating new money from nothing. That can't run forever. Even other presidents have called the United States, which matters because, again, the United States is the lead of everything. The U.S. dollar is used for basically all trade across the planet. Other presidents are calling us Rome. Dex, what was the most prominent president that just recently called us Rome? Wasn't it the Is country? Wasn't it Netanyahu?
Yeah, it might have been.
I believe
it sounds like something he would say.
I believe he called us the Rome, the new Rome. And of course, if you know the story of the old Rome, that's not a compliment. It says the study was published in the Yale Journal of Industrial Ecology in November 2020 and is available on the KPMG website. It concludes that the current business-as-usual trajectory of global civilization is heading towards the terminal decline of economic growth within the decade, and at worst could trigger societal collapse by around 2040. Almost makes you say, hey, maybe we should get off the planet. Maybe before this happens, maybe we should move our gated communities to Mars. Who knows? Or the very most elite will look down on us with telescopes from the moon, and they'll laugh and they'll drink their Chianti and they'll eat their brains or whatever they eat.
Or shift populations around into different locations, right?
Well, and another thing, we're going to talk about the massive flooding, and it's like they're just giving us little pieces at a time. We talked about this 3 years ago. There was even a video that sparked this huge debate because it shut down YouTube. That video was a military member saying something was going to happen to the moon that was going to cause. And the game of telephone changed that story. It even, people saw that video, and then people that didn't see it basically passed it on, and it turned into like, oh, there's an asteroid coming towards Earth. The original video was supposedly a gentleman talking about something happening to the moon. I heard that it was an asteroid. But others said that, something was going to happen to the moon that would cause massive events on the planet. If we lose the moon, then we're screwed. The moon balances everything. It controls the tides, everything else. The new Navy maps, all of that kind of goes into play with this stuff, if you believe the new Navy maps, right? So it's just like there's too many little pieces that are pretty, a pretty obvious puzzle that just click right together, and you're like, they're saying, oh, nope, it's not that. I mean, it looks like it is, but actually, they're all different puzzles, right?
And just so you know, I do have our guest online whenever we want them.
Oh, perfect.
Topic.
We'll bring that in right after Space Force. And then, so as far as this collapse go, the data shows that we are heading towards a societal collapse. And, if you think about how fast the last 20 years has gone by, we're talking about 19 years from now is like at the very end of it. They actually say it should start within this decade. So 2020s right now, right? So we're possibly going to see the beginning of a societal collapse. Some would argue, and most of my audience would argue, that we're already there. If you look at what is going on right now with morals and, judgment and everything else, I would say we're pretty damn close right now. But that's just my opinion. What's yours? Put in the comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Over 3,000 that we just hit. Thank you so much for joining us here. Christian Mercier says, engineeringwatch.com. Find out why the West is burning. I love that website, and again, we've actually shared that before. We need to have a kind of list on our website of all of the best websites. Michelle Bybee said, had to do replay for a while, but I've watched since 2018. You and Dex do a great job. Keep it up, and much love to you guys and fams, etc. Michelle Bybee, I remember you. Thank you so much for stopping by. Melissa Moran says, nothing. You, I think, did maybe a super sticker, but thank you so much for your support. You can always write a message there. And then Oh Wise Owl says, kitten jabs in a few hours. Wish her luck. Oh, I'm sorry. She's not getting that one, right? Wages World says, keep doing what you do. Wish I could support you more. Best news on the net. Wages World, you don't have to support at all. I'm glad creators supporting creators is awesome, though. I will return the favor next time I catch a live. Oh Wise Owl, thank you so much from Europe. Again, thank you for your support. Shelby Cobra, thank you for being one of the last people out again yesterday. I appreciate all of everybody's support, really. And I want to thank everybody that has just popped in. Space Force working on laser defenses. This is something that we've talked about for years. I actually told you that my sister's then boyfriend was actually inducted into Space Force from Boeing. He was military, and then, of course, he's working at Boeing. Well, he just got inducted into the Air Force when they took all of these, the Space Force. They took all these Air Force personnel, and they switched them over, and they said, hey, you're going from this to this. And it was a group of, I don't know how many thousands, it was like 4,000 people got swooped up and kind of picked from different positions. His job was actually at Boeing, doing engineering and things like this. So I knew about some of these bigger lasers that Boeing was working on before they happened, and I told you that they were working on these giant lasers. Now it says that Space Force is developing, and if again, now with our new system, people can check that I called this stuff 3 years ago. And I'm not trying to look for a pat on the back. Everybody says that. I want to prove to new viewers that that we strive to tell you every little piece that we can that is absolutely true, and that we verify, and that we make sure that we're warning people. When it goes back to the roots of my show, it wasn't to do YouTube. It was to do videos for my friends and family and warn them about the coming disaster to the northwest of Cascadia Subduction Zone. And again, this is what I look at. I was lucky enough to have friends and family in higher places as far as, FEMA and military. And they warned me. They said, you need to get stuff ready and have stuff by the door. So again, my main purpose for this show is to get everybody as many people as possible ready for any kind of disaster, whether that be your local blackout or tornado or anything else. So I appreciate each and every one of you that show up every day. So it says that they're developing, and remember, this was like a theory just a few months ago, or 5 months ago, 6 months ago, before the DOD confirmed it. It was like you were, some sort of nutto. It says the Space Force is developing directed weapons as a counter to space warfare threats posed by both China and Russia, according to the general in charge of the force. Air Force General Jay Raymond disclosed on work on high-directed weapons during congressional testimony last month. Remember, if you talked about this, it was considered a theory, and it was actually marked down on the platforms. It was like you were spreading fake stuff, right? Now it's a fact. Are they going to bring all those people back that got deleted? Probably not, which is really lame. Thank you, Lisa K23 says, write down your usernames and passwords and hide. Bling on Grammy says, you guys are awesome. Thank you for your show. Amanda Rachel, we've got my feed over on D-Live, Sandra in Texas, Dixie Doe, Pisces, I Love Jesus Forever, Stormy7572 is here tonight, Red Butterfly, and Pam Beth. Thank you, everybody, for joining, especially they're Karen from Columbus. Thank you. As far as the lasers go, we told you that this was going to happen, and now they're saying that everybody has them, and we're probably going to see these directed energy stuff basically happen in public. We might see events happen, and we'll know that they were actually, they used these kind of weapons to do it. Personally, I think that they've already used these. Dex, what do you think? As far as there's been some events. There's
been plenty of events that make you wonder, did something else cause that event or contribute to the what exactly happened there, right? That was unexplainable. So yeah, plenty of opportunity there in the past. It's also interesting because we just reported on this yesterday that, they were worried about China's expanse into, the space warfare type stuff. So because they did that, now today we've got, don't worry, the U.S. has their stuff to counter that, right? So it's an interesting narrative that's going back and forth, but it is painting an obvious picture that the investment that we have been talking about, we said, hey, they're going to be spending a ton of money up above. This is the proof of that. They're coming out publicly now and basically saying, hey, yeah, the new battleground is up above in the sky, and not in the Air Force sky, but in the Space Force sky.
Of course, it was like 6 or 7 months ago, we said that they were going to make this more of a priority, and then come out and tell us about all this. So we actually saw this kind of happening as it happened, and of course they deny it up into the very last second. It's like what loggers do in neighborhoods. When you see a main strip with a lot of homes that have been there for 50, 60 years, a lot of people that have lived in a neighborhood for a very long time, you have a strip of trees, and basically you have a strip of forest. This happens here a lot because we've got a lot of trees. We're the Northwest. Well, what they'll do is they'll chop up all of the trees. They'll log every piece of tree, even though, this property's owned by somebody. They have full right to do it, but people complain when they see trees getting taken down. So what they'll do is they'll get rid of all the trees and leave the very first couple lines of trees. So from the street, you don't know that they're logging until the very last minute. And then one day you'll drive by and it's cleared for as far as you can see. And it's ugly because, you used to look at forest, and now you're looking at just this huge thing. It can't be done in one day. They couldn't have logged thousands of trees in one day. So what did they do? They purposely logged all the way up to the street and then left just a couple trees there so it didn't change the look, and then boom, it's gone. Basically, they're hiding. They try to go as long as they can without pulling something out, and then when they do, it just hits you in the face. Like, what the hell is this stuff? Really, really crazy stuff. Speaking of space and everything that is going on right now, I highly recommend EMP Shield is going to be extending for a couple more days. Remember, right now they are actually doing an additional $20 off on our grandfathered in $50 off. If you are new here, you should highly recommend you go over and check these out. They can actually protect you against real EMPs. This is the same company that is working with DHS, DOD, and now the DEMSO team helping protect military and government structures. They are still selling to consumers. So again, right now they're doing a special thing for our viewers on top of their regular sale, $50 off on top of their $20, all the way up to $50, depending if you get multiple devices right now. You can protect your car, your home, your generator, your boat, your solar system, your ham radio even. They make a device for everything. Not only does it protect you against EMPs, it also protects you against solar flares, CMEs, the natural kind. And on top of that, it actually protects your home or generator or whatever you may have from lightning. It's 100% American made. It's a veteran-owned business, and they actually care about the Foogle fam. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, thank you. That actually helps us, and you get a giant discount, so it's a big win-win for everybody. Dex, let's get the caller on, and then we'll do, of course, all of this stuff that's going on with the moon. In fact, I'll probably move up through this Denver.
And if you can grab that article that I posted for our guest that he sent in, okay?
Okay, got it. All right, so we have Wages World, a.k.a. Blue Kool-Aid. He's a large creator that is in the Foogle fam. Let's see here. And he's got some news for us. What's going on, Wages? You are live on Marfoogle News.
Hey, Adam, what's up? How you doing? Hi, Foogle fam. Hope everybody's doing good.
So what is happening?
Well, actually, last night I got the notification for your video you posted there pretty late, and I hadn't even seen that article yet. So you were on top of that one for sure.
Is that not insane?
We talk about things like me and you and everybody else that does channels and anybody else that researches this at all. We talk about it so much, sometimes we kind of get distant from it, and we kind of forget things sometimes. We don't realize how important the stuff that we talked about in the past, and we start seeing it come to fruition. And you said something a minute ago, about patting yourself on the back. You're not patting yourself on the back. You're just simply stating, hey, please, get this WinStar credibility by what we're talking about.
Exactly.
We're not the only ones saying it. And that's, when you get big organizations and things like that start talking about what we're talking about, it's an issue. Has to be. So, well, I just wanted to point that out.
Well, no,
but,
and this is exactly this is what we have been laughed at for 3 years, and now, like I said, clear cutting the trees until the very last second. Then all of a sudden they cut those last few trees, and then it's like you see this huge field, and you go, "Oh my gosh, this was here the whole time."
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, I reference it kind of like an Easter egg in a video game. And I guess you got to play video games and know what that is, or even in a movie. We're finding those Easter eggs, but eventually you find yourself to the end of the game. And it's one of those things where you have to wonder, and I would think you probably feel the same way as I do, that some of the stuff that we talk about, we don't want to be right. You know what I mean? We want somebody to really tell us we're wrong. Because some of the stuff we talk about is, a lot of it is bad. And, I struggle with that in my own head, but that's my own issues. But when we start seeing things like this moon thing, and, and the first thing I thought about when I watched your video last night was the fact that, 2 months ago, it was early May, late April, I think, they dropped an article about Earth wobble. So not only is the moon wobbling, the Earth is wobbling. And what I think the biggest takeaway I get from some of this is every planetary body out there is affecting each thing. People don't think the moon can really affect us that much. Well, it does. It's actually what controls our axial tilt. That's the main driving factor there. If we didn't have a tilt, we wouldn't have seasons. If we were straight up and down, we would get 12 hours of daylight every day, and we would never be pointed towards the sun at any specific whatever. So that's exactly what we're talking about here. And and when you talk about the moon starting to do that, they're trying to blame it on something I can't say here. I guess it's getting hot, if you want to say, if I want to use that, and
the
we've
big
got
change
things melting. Yeah. So yeah, and that's kind of what they're trying to. They're blaming this on, especially with the Earth axis tilt. And I think that what we have to realize is they're both happening at the same time. Now, and the other thing I do want to point out to give some validity to it would be that the fact that these are natural, wobbles that we have. We have a natural wobble to the Earth. It's a 41,000-year cycle, though. It's not something that happens overnight. So when they see things that are happening outside of that, that's when they start talking about it. And I think that that's what's going on because, back with the Earth wobble, it was like 10, get this is how micro stuff can be that can really drastically affect us, 10 centimeters a year, which over however many years added up to, 10 meters.
30 feet.
That's all yeah, that's all we're talking about here. I'm dead serious. And that will drastically change our climates.
And well, you have to think about the consistency, the consistency of everything. I mean, the fact that our life as we know it is a day that's the exact same within, just a little kind of mark of second. If you put that off by anything, it changes not only the weather, the seasons, everything else, or supposedly changes it. I mean, it would change everything.
Yeah, and I think that's why these kinds of articles and stuff, when we get, these stories come out, at some level, I really think it's a soft disclosure or something bigger, because then your mind goes to like pole flip. That's moving too. Why is that moving so fast now? Yes, that's a natural cycle, but is it speeding up on, something that's not normal? The Earth is a bar magnet. You start moving it one direction or the other, what's it going to do? It's going to pull that magnetic field back and forth. So, it's going to change. Things are going to change. Are things speeding up? Things are just now starting to show up. And, there's a lot of things out there. People talk about like an immediate, like, tilt to our side and all those kinds of things. Man, we wouldn't even have to question if that happened. Just imagine you're holding a bowl of water, and you get jerked to the side. What happens to the bowl? Well, it's way over there, but the water hits the floor. I mean, that's the stuff that we're talking about here. And it's the same thing with tides. Our waters are in basins. We start moving real fast, tilting like we're not supposed to in a very, very like sharp fashion. We're not going to have to wonder if that's what's going on, because we're going to know it. These are very, very slow movements.
But again, I guess to put this in perspective, if not to debate with all of the folks that believe we're in a bowl with a dome, that's fine. Again, I would love explanations of what they might be doing if that is the case, right? But if we go off of what is generally accepted, which again you can debate all day, that's fine. We are moving at so many thousands of miles per hour, and then all of a sudden something changes. That would affect everything.
Everything. This is what I'm trying to say. You can't point to one thing, and that's what a lot of people do. They'll find like one anomaly that they see, whatever it be. It could be a very legitimate observation, and that something could have changed there, but it doesn't have to be that. We're not going to have to wonder if we shift really, really far, really, really quick, because we're not going to be able to have this conversation. There's not really much else to say there, and I think you know what I mean when I say that. It's one of those things where every coast in the world would flood. Well, it would go out. What it would do is, if something like that was to happen, the water would go one direction. It would basically be almost like a tidal wave, because it would suck out and then it would come back in. And and you think that's only going to happen, slosh around one time? No, it's going to keep moving. And what happens when you move that back and forth? It's a continuous wobble until it finally finds stability again.
It's like
so
spinning
like
a top, like it's spinning a top.
Yeah, you said that's exactly right. There's something, it's called axial precession, and it's a 26,000 year cycle that we're on. That's the Earth wobble we're talking about. It naturally will move some, and that is why like our northern star has to change, because eventually geographic north will not be pointed at our North Star. It will be pointed at Vega or whatever they say it's going to be next. Those are natural things that happen, but they happen 26,000 year cycles, 41,000 year cycles. The obliquity is actually what they call our tilt. That actually changes too a little bit. Its natural change is, get this, like I say, 22 degrees to 24.5. We're talking 2.5 degrees. That's it. It never gets outside of that. So if it gets outside of that, their theories are that if you get past 80 degrees, that would be uninhabitable for human life. So, there's absolutely, when you talk about seasons and things like that, if the Earth was completely on its side, we would have months and months on end where there would be no daylight on one side of the Earth and daylight continuously on the other. I think Mercury and Jupiter, I think they spin that way, they rotate at 180. Okay, yeah, so they get like 12 hours of equal sunlight. Well, we don't. That's what gives us our seasons. It's simple as that. That's an elementary thing you can go look at in textbooks and everywhere else. So when we start talking about these little small changes, they're big. We're in that Goldilocks
So
zone.
let me ask you this: do you think that it's a combination, like they say, because they have to look at the certain planets that have the right rotation, the right degree, the right distance, everything else, like the Goldilocks zone, as you said. But do you think that now they're coming out and they're just lightly putting in the back of our head, hey, by the way, in the 2030s, the moon's going to wobble, and if the Earth is wobbling at the same time, it's going to be catastrophic? Are they like soft disclosing that we're headed towards the end, or at least the coast will change?
I try not to go. Yeah, I try not to go that far, especially for my own mental health, well-being. I prep up just like everybody else does. Probably who I'm talking to right now, but those are the real things that could happen. Now, again, can we do anything to prepare for something that catastrophic? If we tilt to 90 degrees, there's nothing we're going to do but get off this planet. That's just the way that it is. Because there's a lot of theories out there, and you start talking about like going down and then coming back up, because that's really what they think would happen. And even if you go down geographically down through our layers and stuff, and you start digging into ice and things, this is why they find certain things like at the equator where you wouldn't expect to see them. Because at some point in time, we were tilted.
Do you think that this is...
And things melted.
Do you think that...
Yeah.
Do you think that this is why all of the elites and CEOs over the last 2 years, as they find out about this, they're all resigning and quitting and just living out their fun?
I really think that probably has something to do with it.
And buying these super subs.
And again,
every rich person is either trying to go off of into space or buying a super sub. The super sub business just exploded. They said 200,000%, which before it was probably next to nothing. Now all of a sudden people are buying these $2 billion subs. Every billionaire is buying a submarine. Why would you need a submarine? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. And that's the whole thing. What makes sense there is, if you try to think about why they would be doing that, well, this is one of those reasons. Because everything is going to change eventually. I mean, we know that, and we're prepping, we're doing what we got to do, but, obviously we all don't have those pockets. And if you think about, there's a reason why Noah built an ark. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So if the water is moving around, where are you going to want to be? You're going to want to be in that water. You're not going to want to be anywhere unless you can get high enough to where it's not going to affect what you're doing. And even at that, you got to understand that, and that's the other thing I was going to touch on is that, they're saying that we're slowing down also. Our day length and I could send you links and stuff, but our day length has lengthened.
So basically, if you don't think that the world is going to get bad, you are actually the new conspiracy theorist. If you, because guess what? All of the official data says that the Earth is going to wobble, the moon is going to wobble, that we're going to have flooding, that the Earth is slowing down. There was that a couple years ago. There was that weird ding that went through the entire Earth. They couldn't explain it. It was like we got rung like a bell. The official data and not only that, the economic data basically says societal collapse. Everything official says that we're heading towards collapse. Now, if you think that we'll be fine, you are now the conspiracy theorist. Is that not a trip?
Yeah, and I think that you hit it right on the head, Adam. I mean, honestly, I think that the more and more, and obviously with the type of channel I run, I talk to the gamut. I talk to people way far this way and people way far that way, and talk to people in the middle. And for the most part, there is really nobody left on that nothing's going to happen. We all know mainstream has to admit that eventually something will happen, because that's what our history shows. That is the data that we have. Why do we think that we are so above everything that we're not here at that specific time? How do we know that? We don't know that. And I think that's what you get a lot of these mainstream organizations, the biggest one that sends the rockets in space. they're dropping all these articles, and you hit it a little while ago. It's basically a soft disclosure. And I think that sometimes you get people in there that try to help a little more than probably what they might get in trouble for. And we sometimes see stuff that we're probably not supposed to. And you said, like you said, it's not just space weather or orbital mechanics or space in general. It is everything. I mean, our global economy, all those kinds of things that we all sit here and we talk about. And, and what it does for me, and I think I really hope everybody takes this, and I really try to push this on my channel, is that you really just need to stop and look at, you mentioned a dome earlier. Well, look inside your own dome and look at the people sitting next to you. Do what you need to do for those people. And I think if we lose sight of that, if we get so wrapped up in all of anything else that we're doing, I don't care if it's your job, or if it's what I do on the internet or whatever, but just look around, love who you love, and make it count, because none of us are guaranteed, none of us at any time. And we're talking about big time stuff here. And, I really truly think within my lifetime that something will give. I mean, the solar cycle, like I said, that's what I'm saying. Subjects just keep coming up that we're talking about, and I wasn't even talking about the solar cycle. And I've seen articles dropping now. They're talking about a termination event on the sun, which is where the positive and negative meet in the middle. And what it does is we won't even see it because it's magnetic. So there won't be no big explosion. It'll just hyperactivate the sun. And we'll start seeing flares left and right. I mean, and big ones. So that's the other thing, the EMP thing that you talk about quite often. And all those things, man, they're all happening right now. And that's the concern, I guess. I mean, that's why we do what we do, at least for me.
Well, Wages, I really appreciate you. I'll end up, after we get off, I'll just read a small segment of this article that you shared. I actually have to go to Children's Hospital tonight again. We have to bring in our 2-year-old. Yeah. So I am on a tight schedule tonight. I really appreciate you, Wages. And yeah, we will be sending everybody we can over. If you have not checked out Wages World's channel, he does a lot of great stuff. He follows solar weather and a lot of other things over on his channel. What are you up to now? I mean, last time I checked, you were
I'm a little over 47,000.
Amazing. Yeah. Let's get him to 50,000. Yeah. Let's get him at least to 50,000. Head over and subscribe to Wages awesome. World. Again, Wage, is there one more thing you want to say before you go?
Just, God bless everybody, and just stay, love who you love. That's really what we do this for. You know what I mean? And prayers for you and yours too. I know you're going through some really hard times there. So, and everybody out there. So, love everybody. Google fan for life, and rock on.
Well, thank you, and thank you. Wages World, if you haven't checked out his channel, he does a lot of really in-depth stuff. He goes over graphs and charts and stuff that's beyond my level of knowledge. So I always pull him on, or one of his colleagues on, to talk about this kind of stuff. As far as this goes, it says, and this is the other data, it says, according to NASA, data from the 20th century shows that the spin axis drifted about 10 centimeters per year, meaning over a century, polar motion exceeds 10 meters or 30 feet. Rising sea levels, heat waves, melting glaciers, and storms are some of the well-known consequences of this, right? It says new research has added yet another impact to this lift, marked shifts in the axis along which the Earth rotates. It essentially says, let's see here. It says, while this change is not expected to affect daily life, it can change the length of the day by a few milliseconds, experts say. The Earth, and by the way, do you remember my poll I did? And I said, my wife and I were talking about how it seems like time is going faster, and not even like, oh, I'm getting older or I'm having fun. Like, it's actually going faster. It's like some days it just goes right to the end, and you're like, it's 9 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock. And people responded. It was insane. I have never seen so many comments saying, oh, it's not just me, I'm older, my children notice it, my kids notice it, my teenagers notice it, everybody notices this. It's not just the young and old people, right? Because when you're younger, time goes slow. Before you're 21, it goes real slow. And then after 21, it's like, oh my gosh, I want to go back to next year, last year. Why is it going so damn fast? But it's going like unbelievably fast. The day, I don't know, maybe it's because something is changing as far as, even if it's off by a few milliseconds, our internal clock is screwed up. So it's telling us that it's going faster. I don't know. But it basically says that the location of the pole is not fixed. However, as the axis moves due to the changes in how Earth mass is distributed around the planet, thus the poles move when the axis moves, and the movement is called polar motion. Explained, it says magnetic North Pole drifting fast towards Russia, according to NASA. Data from the 20th century shows that the spin axis drifted about 10 centimeters per year, meaning over a century, polar motion exceeds 10 meters. Generally, polar motion is caused by the changes in the hydrosphere, atmosphere, oceans, or solid Earth. But now, climate change is adding to the degree with which the poles wander. They're talking about pole shift. They're talking about the poles wandering, which if you did not know, look up some of the videos on that and the data. It's like it's jumping. Some say, oh, well, that's natural. It's going to happen. That's great. But some of the weird fast shifts, like shifted, 10 times as fast in 1 year. You're talking about, a football field in 1 year and then, nothing. And then this, it's weird. There's something else going on here. And it's just kind of weird to me that the people that are the richest people in the world that are, in the Situation Room or visit the president's house, those are the people that are preparing. Even when you get to like, Jay-Z and Beyonce, they have some pretty weird prepping things going on. And of course, they're friends with Barack. It's like all the people that are close to these top people, they're all either resigning or leaving their positions or saying, I'm done. I'm good. I don't need to make, $28 million a year for sitting on my ass. I'm actually going to turn that down and I'm going to go sit on my ass. Why are they shortening this time and spending it with family? It's weird. It is really weird. Let's see. Dex, we'll talk about this. This was a breaking at before when we were doing this. Denver, a ground stop is in place at Denver International Airport, which again, that's another weird thing in itself. That has a whole aura around it of a power outage in the terminal. The airport said that the flights that are in the air can still land, but flights coming to Denver haven't taken off yet and are being held. Flights leaving Denver are able to take off, but because of the incoming delays, outgoing flights could be impacted. So this is a breaking, right? One of the reasons why this is like, is Denver is home to the possible bunkers and all that kind of stuff. But also,
and it's also interesting too that it's a power outage, right? And like, what's causing it? What happened? Is this another potential cyber hit?
And why Denver?
We may or may not hear about.
And why Denver? Who knows? It could be just a normal power outage. We will follow that. Julie Clark, thank you so much. I just want to say I got to hit a couple people here because, man, D-Live just went nuts. Thank you, everybody, for supporting us. We are independent. You know that. For the old school Foogle fams, just thank you. You know I can't say enough. Black Labs, thank you, says, hey, Foogle fam, great to be here. Zelda Fan 70 came in with a Ninja Genie, says, we need to buy land and create a Foogle town. I actually love that idea. I wish we really could, like, go up on just huge land. Global Impact, my 20s economic espionage DARPA project. I will check that out. My 20ers? I'll have to check that out. Lisa K, Global Impact, thank you so much for your support. And then Lisa K says, I'll move to Marfville or Dexington. I think me and Dex would probably argue over the name of that. Look in now. Lead scientist convicted. Dex, can we look at this? It says Corning Glass scientist convicted. Lisa K believes it's something important here. Zippy Moons just lit up the whole freaking screen. with diamonds. Oh my gosh, thank you. Zippy Moons, thank you for the Ninja there. Carolina Roots, Kelly2334, thank you. Let's see here. Ski Ball, thank you. Awesome. Thank you for the support. Stormy Weather says, much love, y'all. Keep your head on a swivel. Marf Family knows what's going on, says Black Labs. Ski Ball, thank you so much again. Scooby-Doo Do Right. Lily Boo is a Marfoogle fur baby. Lily Boo is a Marfoogle fur baby. That is very odd, but I am down with that. Okay, and then let's see here. Brace for flooding. We're going to talk about this as well. This is just insanity. I think this is soft disclosure. I don't see how people cannot see that. First off, though, over on PayPal, Ambertrax Technology Survival Supplies Products says that they have a website. It's, I guess, ambertrax.com. Bulk preps, food, water, power, and bunkers. And then it says they even have waterproof Bibles and survival supplies, ambertrax.com. That is so cool. And says, love your music. How can we get copies of all your songs? We're just posting up the stuff on Marfoogle Jams, the channel. It's there for free. And then thank you for all your hard work. Catch you on the replay, says Amanda D. Thank you so much. Everybody that supports this channel. Again, we don't have a backbone. You are our backbone. We don't have a multi-channel network. We don't have any of that. So if we did have a multi-channel network, usually they help you with like strikes and all that kind of stuff. They help you with advertisers and affiliates and all that. We don't have that. It's me and Dex and the mods. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. We want to bring like an actual staff on. So that is what we're shooting for. We, of course, have to get to, comfortable place supporting ourselves. And then, boom, I want to bring on people. So please help us get there, and I will appreciate you forever. Brace for flooding. A moon wobble is coming, NASA warns. Now, anytime the people say NASA, people shut down, especially a huge group of people that, again, they're in my audience, they're in my mods. I have personal friends, and I've looked down that road. But I would say there is something to be said. If this is what publicly is accepted, that means they're warning you that something's going to happen. They're telling you they're publicly doing this, so why? That's what freaks me out. It says, thanks to, quote, a wobble in the moon's orbit and rising sea levels, every coast in the United States will face, every coast, notice how they say every coast, will face rapidly increasing high tides that will start a decade of dramatic increases in flood numbers in the 2030s. It says the conclusion, which was published in Nature Climate Journal by NASA Sea Level Change Science Team from the University of Hawaii, has to do with the moon's orbit, which takes 18 years to complete a cycle, according to NASA. It says for half of that time period, Earth's regular daily tides are suppressed with high tides at a low average and low tides happening at a higher rate. In the other half of the cycle, the opposite occurs. It says high tides get higher and low tides get lower. Global sea level rise pushes high tides only in one direction, higher. So half of the 18.6 year lunar cycle counteracts the effects of sea level rise on high tides, and the other half increases that effect. So it says the moon is currently in its tide amplifying cycle right now, and there's currently no cause for concern for dramatic flooding occurring given sea levels in the U.S. haven't risen much. However, when the moon returns to the tide amplifying cycle, the seas will have had nearly a decade to rise. So I don't know what the hell is really happening here, but it's like they keep coming out with these things that confirm all of the weird rumors and the weird things that have been leaked through the dark web and everything else, the weird maps and the weird stats and everything else, and it all points from 2025 to 2030. Not only that, there's actual agenda, and they're saying, hey, we need to move people into places, right? Why? Why would we need to move rural communities all into one place? Why are they now training to quarantine? Guess what a quarantine is also good for? Trapping. That's what's really nuts about this. Why are they asking military, like, hey, would you take weapons from your own people and blah, blah, blah? They did that back in the day, too. So what the hell is really going on here? Kelly2334 says, storms are rolling in. I'm praying for you. I hope, I don't know what part of the country you're in, but again, somebody says that in the audience. I don't know if you're expecting a tornado or what. We've had people watching the show and a tornado rolled by their house. Pretty crazy. And then they sent the video. Karen from Columbus, Foogle town full of fooglets. Somehow that sounds really wrong, Karen from Columbus, but I still read it anyways. Kelly2334 and Global Impact, FEMA concentration camps. Yeah, very creepy stuff. And that's what they're training for, at least. And then, Dex, do you have any comments on the moon as far as the wobble and everything that we've been talking about?
Well, the way I'm looking at, one way to look at what they're saying here is they're giving us a 9-year warning, right? And we've got until 2030 when it gets into that amplification period. So is there something else underneath here that they're trying to position for that 9-year period? Whether it's, the change that they keep talking about or something else, right? That this is basically a big 9-year warning.
And by the way, they keep saying, the World Forum says that in the future you will own nothing and you will be happy. Why in the world, if you owned nothing, knowing that all humans are materialistic and, it's part of human nature. Why would they be happy and own nothing unless they're just happy to be alive? It's a scary thought. Let's see. Julia Clark, thank you so much again for your support. Again, Christian Mercier, thank you as well. Dusty Digger, thank you so much. Appreciate you. And then Haunted Doll, thank you. You can always write something. Since I've always thought my dad hung the moon, this isn't surprising. He literally mounted their flat screen TV less than an inch below the ceiling on his first attempt. It's inevitable. We're doomed. Haunted Doll, I hope your dad is not in charge of the moon missions. Jim Beeling, thank you for subscribing. Kedrick Armstrong, thank you for subscribing. Samson's Animal House says surgery, long recovery, working on vids, send mob. Samson's Animal House, I wish you luck and I'm praying for you. I hope that you get better soon here. To be honest, I'll have to check out your channel again. King's Child, Lord, supernaturally touch and heal Marf's children in Jesus' name, amen and amen. All this is biblical. Believe in Jesus today. King's Child, I appreciate that, but you don't have to do that. Thank you so much. I'll probably explain it probably after, but our 2-year-old has got a face thing that's not. It started when the 118 degree day started, and then she had fevers, and they thought it was bacterial. Now we're going in to see if it's fungal or something else. It's a really weird little thing here, but hopefully it's, worst case scenario is it's permanent and it's like eczema or something like that. And like, if you've ever, I could not imagine looking at my little 2-year-old girl who is so just beautiful and cute and saying like, you're going to have eczema on your face. Oh, we have eczema in our family. So that very well could be. If I wash my hands too much, I'll get it on my hand. It's not the end of the world, but if you're looking at somebody, if they had to have that on their face growing up, that's just like, I don't know what I would do. I'd be really sad. Hopefully it's nothing else or, worse. So we're going back in to the another time to Children's, and Children's always takes care of us and everything. So, anyways, head of Russian space program criticizes billionaire oligarchs. It says Dmitry Rogozin, the leader of Russia's space agency Roscosmos, congratulated Virgin Galactic CEO Richard Branson after his successful flight to 50 miles on Sunday. By the way, a lot of people are saying that he didn't go to space, right? A lot of people argue that he just kind of went up and then dropped back down. It's If you see the video, they made it look like it was like they said it was micro anti-gravity session, right? But if you see the video that was posted on his website, it looks like they were sitting there, and it's super weird. Richard Branson sits in the seatbelts like he's scared or something for the first like minute and a half. And of course he's talking, saying like, this is a great achievement and blah, blah, blah. And all the rest of the people immediately get out of their seats and are floating around. And I'm thinking, what the hell happened if the pilots, or if it sunk just below where gravity was and they slammed into walls? And then how do they give them time? What if it goes back into the thing before they're buckled in? You would think that they would just get smashed against the wall or something. It's really weird.
Oh, it's gradual, right?
They say, yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah, it's got to be gradual. It can't just be like a light switch on and off.
Well, did you see the full video of inside? I don't know if you ended up checking out his video.
I watched a little bit. I saw him sitting there, flapping his gums, and everybody else was having the time of their life. And I'm thinking, you've only got like 4 minutes. If you're really there, you should be enjoying.
I was thinking the same thing. He was sitting there in anti-gravity, or supposedly, right? And he's talking and talking and talking, and then I'm like, dude, it's gonna run out of time. You say 4 minutes, and then he all of a sudden unbuckles and does like a little half flip and then goes back into his seat. It's like, you just wasted
maybe he's trying to look cool. Who knows? But, the other thing is you can also simulate that same thing just by heading down. So if you fly up really high and then head down for 4 straight minutes, everybody feels weightlessness anyway.
So that's why... Okay, so that's why a lot of people don't even believe it, because it's like the plane could do the same thing if they went just super, 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 super high and then just went down for that long. Then it could be the same. And they could just show a rotating clip of the outside of the rocket floating, but really that was a 1 second video they looped, and then it's actually going down and back through. I don't know. The whole thing, though, is it says on Twitter, Rogozin called Branson's flight a landmark achievement in space travel. He even went as far as decrying Russia's billionaire oligarchs in a follow-up tweet, saying they'd rather spend money on yachts than developing spacecraft. The sentiment even got a reaction out of SpaceX CEO Elon Musk, who replied with a pair of hand-clapping emojis. It says it was a backhanded compliment, as Rogozin also pointed out that the suborbital flight, Branson didn't technically reach space, has nothing to do with professional astronautics. So again, they say, because they give out the wings, NASA gives out wings at 50 miles up, if you've been 50 miles up, but that's technically not the start of real space, technically, right? And they got 53 miles and then kind of went back down. So it's kind of a stupid concept in the first place. Like, what are you... $250,000 to just go on the highest, amusement park ride? I don't know. I don't know. I would rather have a house.
Sounds to me like the head of the Russian space agency is a little jealous himself, so...
Well, he probably doesn't have... Well, he probably just spent his money on an ugly yacht, and he's like, well, a flight to space or whatever. Well, my yacht's got a stove. Damn Branson. Branson!
His yacht is a houseboat.
Yeah. Or, well, in Russia, a yacht is actually a 1978 Pinto. Exclusive, China begins military flights from disputed South China Sea bases. Okay, this is exactly what we were saying 3 years ago. Forward operating bases, now they're actually deploying. China's military recently deployed electronic warning and surveillance aircraft and helicopters on 2 disputed islands in the South China Sea, in what analysts say is a sign of the People's Liberation has begun routine air operations from the bases. It says satellite images obtained by the Washington Times show deployments in May and June of the PLA K-500 airborne warning and control aircraft to Mischief Reef in the Spratly Islands. These are the Spratly Islands that they made out of nothing. They took the bottom of the sea, piled it up, and then made it not only into a forward operating base, but airfields and a Navy base. Now, complete with anti-air and tanks and everything else is there now. The newest pictures is pretty freaky. This is storage for the advancement of their military. Other satellite photos showed the stationing of a Y-9 transport aircraft and Z-8 helicopters to Subi Reef in June of this month. It says in 2020, KQ-200 anti-submarine warfare aircraft were deployed on a third island base on Fiery Cross Reef. So this is all right in that area, right? So they've made all these bases, and now they're deploying all of their stuff. What do you think? In the past, military aircraft made occasional stops at the bases that were built since 2013 as part of a major campaign by the Chinese military to expand power and protect its broad claims to sovereignty over the strategic waterway. The two reefs are part of a triangle of South China Sea military bases, China equipped with advanced missiles in 2018. Equipped with advanced missiles. Contrary to what U.S. officials said was a pledge by President Xi Jinping not to militarize the islands that are claimed by China and several other regional states. It says the bases can house all types of warplanes and boomers that contain docking facilities capable of handling most Chinese warships. It's a refuel spot. Satellite imagery of the military aircraft was obtained by J. Michael Dahm, a former Navy intelligence officer currently with Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory known as APL. The most significant change in military posture in 2021 is the appearance of Chinese special mission aircraft and helicopters at Subi and Mischief Reef, indicating that the PLA may have commenced routine air operations from those airfields. This is militarizing those bases. This is the definition of, and this is exactly what we were saying was going to happen 3 years ago. We specifically said that they were going to turn it into forward operating bases and then start regular, routine runs. This is what we heard from lieutenants. I'm sorry. I want to say corporal. There was two people two different spots that actually told us that they were in a position, and they said, basically that they would start routine stuff there and turn this into a forward operating base. We said that on the show. I remember reading the comments and people say, oh, that's a bunch of BS. They don't know what they're talking about. Now, again, it's like everything that we end up saying, it's just like it's a bad B movie. It's a bad B movie, and everything is so obvious. They give you like the script, and you know that blonde is going to run upstairs instead of out to the running car with the door open, and she's going to run, and the guy with the knife is going to run up the stairs, and she's going to jump out of the 3-story building, and of course she's going to break her ankle, and of course she's going to crawl until he gets her, and of course she's going to be just out of reach from the weapon that just happens to be there, and she gets her finger on it. And then she's ripped away. You know it. We know it. We all know it. And then China sends ships to Senkaku Islands after Japan names country top security threat. Dex, what does this mean? A fleet of 4 Chinese Coast Guard vessels sailed into territorial waters. What does this mean? What is Senkaku?
Well, yeah, so Japan came out and basically backed Taiwan and said, China's a big threat. And so China came out and is moving into this the waters off of this island as sort of a tit for tat. You're going to say that, we're going to show you who we are, right?
We talk about the tit for tats, and it seems like the tats are getting a lot worse. Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, what's got to happen here is China has an ambition to grow. It just take the ocean by itself. Never mind military bases in other places. Just growing their navy, right? The U.S. has had, and its allies have had, ultimate control of the waters around the globe forever. And the question is, are they going to allow another player to step in and take and carve out and carve away that space? Or are we, that has different political ideology than the allies do of the U.S., or are they going to do something about it? And that's the real question, because it just doesn't seem like China's going to say, we're going to go back home. Like, they have absolutely no plans of stopping.
Well, it seems like we keep seeing the same thing happen over and over and over again. It's just unbelievable how often this is happening now. Let's see. Let's see how. Sorry, I'm gonna have to change something here. I want to make sure I'm seeing everything here. Thank you. Oh, by the way, huge thank you to Display Dawn. Says, appreciate you, Dex, Marf, and all your mods. Thanks, guys. And Ski Ball, thank you, and thank you. Kelly2334, thank you for continually being up in that top 3 supporters on DLive. I appreciate you. Let's see here. And then we are going to go into the admin looks to set up a red phone to China for emergency communication. So I thought that we already had something like this with all the major countries. Dex, did you not?
I would have thought so too.
I thought,
but
maybe it's just
this
Russia.
this is a better phone. I don't know. Maybe they're upgrading to a different technology.
Maybe they're doing a flip phone. Like, they might get a Razr up in that.
I think they need that. What's the one with the big buttons on it for the Cricket or something?
Leapfrog, or I think he needs a Leapfrog, or no, that's for I think that would be appropriate. A Leapfrog, but no, I think that's just for learning. Play School. I'm thinking the wrong brand here. Cricket, no, Cricket. Toys for Tots, no. I can't think of the name of it. Dang it. If you know the name of the phone with the big buttons. Well, the concept is still in its infancy and has yet to be formally raised with the Chinese. The Xi administration wants to develop a rapid communication tool that could be folded into a broader effort to reduce the risk of conflict between the U.S. and China. A hotline to Beijing would let President JB or top officials on his national security team talk to their buddies without anyone listening, because they got to talk to their boss. I mean,
that would be a jitterbug.
Thank you, whoever who put that in there. Immediately send encrypted phone calls or messages to President Xi Jinping. Okay, does anybody see something wrong with this, considering what he's being accused of by like half the country? Encrypted secret phone calls between him and the Chinese president. Just saying. Funny. What do you think of that? The idea of setting up a hotline with Beijing dates back to at least the O administration. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. His ex-prez. Though the concept wasn't codified into a classified national security memo until the final year of the T-Man admin, according to a source familiar with the memo. Yeah. We apparently have a red phone with Russia, I'm sure. I've heard of that my whole life, unless I was taught wrong. But I did not know that we did not have one with China already. I guess they just use like regular lines of communication. They call them up. Hey, Xi, what's going on? Dramatic moment. Russian fighter jets intercept U.S. spy plane over Black Sea as tensions rise and experts fear escalation. Now, do we have some... I don't think we can show this one because I looked at it and it wasn't... Do you think we can link this or?
Yeah, well, it's linked. They can go watch it, but and see what's part of it. But I mean, this is this is like the same story we've heard a lot in the past, but we're hearing it daily now, right? And that's what we've talked about, is like this continuous escalation that is literally daily, sometimes multiple things per day in multiple parts of the world per day.
It was 4 the other day, 4 the same day.
Exactly. So, it's just a matter of time before, one of these actually turns into an incident. And then the question is, does an incident escalate into something more serious?
And by the way, we cover a lot of these things. We used to cover it once a month or once every 2 months, wouldn't you say? Now we're covering it on a daily basis.
Yeah, and we used to say, it's no big deal. It just happens every now and then. It's just sort of normal, but it's daily, and it's like multiple times a day. So it's kind of, we're paying attention to it now because it's not just the rando, incident because they happen to be doing a monthly patrol.
It's not a scrambling of jets at once a month or, we found this spy plane or this. This is literally daily now.
It's like, let's get 2 presidents out of the way. We got to get the plane out of the hangar real quick. Right?
Okay, so
yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, by the way, if you were not here for the other show or if you did not follow the news, the other day the Lithuanian and the Hungarian president were both, it was Hungarian and Lithuania, right? They were both at a press conference at 2 different podiums with a fighter jet right behind. Because of Russia, they had to actually scramble the jet that was behind the president, and they shifted and said, "President, get out of the way." And a pilot runs up and gets in it behind the cameras. And then they go, "Hey, you got to move." And they take that jet to scramble it. What? They had to scramble the plane that was parked behind the president. They couldn't grab the one that's, off in, Area B. They had to go right for the one right behind the president. What does that tell you?
Yeah, it's crazy. And it was, by the way, it was Lithuania and Spain.
Oh, I'm sorry, Spain. Yeah. It's Spanish. The Spaniard. Got it. Sorry. And then Wakefield police used sonic blast, a high-pitch alarm, to temporarily disable armed rise of Moore's suspects. It says the Wakefield police chief said the officers used a sonic boom to disable the rise of the Moore's suspects, which sounds like a Transformers movie or something, which helped authorities apprehend 9 of the 11 individuals. Wakefield Police Chief Stephen Scory provided an update to the town council Monday night and details regarding the events that took place during an hours-long standoff between 11 armed men and the authorities on Interstate 95 on July 3rd. It says Scory told the council that several Wakefield officers assisted a Massachusetts state trooper as he came upon 2 vehicles and 11 armed individuals that were attempting to refuel in the breakdown lane around 1:30 a.m. Saturday morning. It says a group of armed individuals who identify as Moorish Americans and collectively as the Rise of the Moors were traveling from Rhode Island to Maine to train on private land when the trooper asked the members to produce licenses for the firearms. Members of the group indicated that they weren't licensed or didn't have copies of licenses on them and took up the, I love how they put this, sovereign attitude that they did not have to adhere by our laws, according to Scory. So they were First Amendment auditors, all of them. And who knows if they were probably were licensed, but they were pushing it and saying, well, you're stopping us for something or this or that. So are they calling this some sort of domestic thing, Dex?
Well, I guess they probably are in a backhanded kind of way. But the thing that's interesting is that they use this new technology that we've heard from the military, and we've talked about these being used, but like these sonic booms to immobilize people or to stop them they could.
What is the Moors? Rise of the Moors? Are they going to call these like the Triple K or something?
Yeah, I don't know anything about them. We'll have to research it.
It just seems to me like they are currently in custody of wanted in Rhode Island, Fire Islands. So are they? Because you remember how they said the biggest threat was these groups of, white men, and then something like this happens. I don't know, but it is crazy.
I don't think these people are white.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, I'll look it up. Again, this is my first hearing about it, but the sonic weapon that they used, that's pretty insane. An actual, local police department using something like that is a big deal. That's a change in policy. That's a change in kind of the whole routine of things. FBI foils Iranian intelligence plot to abduct journalists in New York. What the heck? Federal prosecutors announced charges Tuesday against for allegedly plotting to abduct journalist Masih Alinejad, who is residing in Brooklyn, New York. Alinejad is a U.S. citizen, prominent human rights activist, and critic of the Iranian regime. Okay, that is freaking terrifying, though. So he lives here, and he's talking smack about his homeland in Iran, and they literally send people to New York to grab this dude. It says the Islamic... they grab her. It says the Islamic regime is scared of me. This regime attempted to send agents to Brooklyn to spy on my life, she said in a video posted on Twitter. They were going to kidnap her.
We hear about this stuff outside of our country. This is like the first time I recall a journalist being targeted inside our country to be pulled outside of our country.
That's incredible. By the way, I think Iran is a great country. You guys are just awesome. We always like sing, Iran is so great, at dinner time. We're usually like, yeah, I ran to the store. I ran. Woo. We like you. We like you. If I disappear, please investigate. Marv didn't kill himself. Michael Herring says, Frogger, that Atari game is what game you were thinking. Also, Paris had a WW2 bomb scare. Gadsden, thank you so much for your support. Christina Faith, my little girl had eczema on her mouth and we used Puritan's Pride vitamin E stick. Look into possible gluten allergy. It could cause facial eczema. I did not even, that is crazy. I didn't know gluten was a real thing. I didn't believe gluten was a real thing. But I've actually, I drink almond milk now and stuff because I can't drink milk and other stuff, and certain breads trigger my stuff, so I totally get that. I will look into that. Thank you. Shelby Cobra says you can cure her using coconut oil and flowers of sulfur. Again, that's a suggestion from Shelby Cobra. Really crazy. Thank you for all the suggestions. Usually my wife is in chat. You can always tell her that too, because I probably won't remember, but I can actually.
Coconut oil is pretty good stuff.
Yeah, and I think we have some. I think we had it for when my wife was pregnant and she put it on her belly to avoid scarring and stuff, or what do you call it? Stretch marks. And then, of course, we have U.S. media shamefully justified a string of Canadian Okay, so I saw the clips. They were actually going up to the Canadian president saying, hey, what are you going to say about this? And he didn't say anything. Is that enough to... But they indirectly and directly have basically said some things that made a lot of people pissed off. So first of all, they're burning churches, which is horrendous. I can't put it any other way. It says, one day this month in Canada, 10 Catholic were vandalized in a single city, Calgary. In the last month, arsonists and vandals have attacked dozens of Canadian churches, burning some entirely to the ground. Why is this happening, Dex?
It's hard to explain in my mind why it's happening outside of just people that are not liking other people as opposed to trying to get along. Right? I mean, it just makes no sense to me to take down a place of worship, no matter what kind of place of worship it is.
I don't know. There's something odd going on up there too, but I don't live there and I don't see a lot of the stuff that goes on there. If you're Canadian and you are kind of like the Canadian version of me up there, let me know what you think is going on, because I bet your gut is right. I don't see enough of your local news to actually do it, and I try to look. Canada is it's weird. They actually follow a lot of stuff here when they're up there. I followed a lot of the pipeline stuff that was going on in Canada, but it's really hard to kind of get the pulse on Canada. Canada is different. It's not, they say it's the top hat of the U.S. You have French speaking and different cultures there. You have all sorts of different stuff going on. But I think it's really weird. It says America has 70.5 million Catholics. Canada, with just over a tenth of the population, has close to 13 million. So as far as the percentage-wise, it says, so this is a big story, yet the U.S. media aren't interested in reporting our northern neighbor's plague of burnings, except to suggest that it's understandable. What? The attacks followed the discovery of hundreds of unmarked graves near residential schools to which the government first sent nation children from 1883 to 1996. Ground scanning uncovered an estimated 215 graves at a British Columbia school on May 28th, a Saskatchewan school on June 25th, and 182 at the BC site on June 30th. The finds were shocking but not surprising. As a schoolgirl in Canada, I learned the ugly history of the country's forced assimilation policy. Over the course of a century, 150,000 Native children were torn from their families by force, if necessary, and sent to get an English or French language education in government-funded schools run mainly by the Catholic Church. Most of the teachers, priests, nuns, and others were in charge of well-meaning, tough as in any group. Some bad apples took advantage of their positions to inflict abuse. The idea was to turn poverty-stricken children into productive, even prosperous members of mainstream Canadian society. And, from the church's perspective, to save their souls. Well, I don't think there's an argument about how bad some of the stuff that the church has done, I guess. But today, now they're doing this. It's like, I don't know.
Let's go back and undo what's been done and make something bigger of it from now. And ultimately, I mean, when you look at all religions, just about all of them have an evangelical side to them where they have to go out and, evangelize their faith and get people to join and grow their community, right? I mean, that's like the fundamental of most. It definitely is
every one of them.
The Christian side, right? But I would assume it's the same on just about every other one as well. So that type of history is not uncommon. I mean, certainly there's always going to be bad because everybody's not perfect, right? The world's full of bad people just as well as it's full of good people. But nothing creates, much more, hatred among people when you take religion and pit it against religion, right?
Well, yes. And so another thing about this is like I've seen this my entire life now, especially in the last 15 years, where we are looking back at the past and trying to erase anything that has a bad history, but you're erasing the current people that might work there. So say you burn one of these places down, but technically for the last 5 years, say, it's been run by a completely new person who has no ties or no connections to this previous crime done 100 years ago. Same thing with religion, race, and all these other things. It's like we can't move past it until we start, I guess, people won't, people put so much emphasis on certain things that we're never going to forget it. You're actually keeping it alive. You're keeping a lot of this stuff alive. I don't understand, burning a current church down for something that the general group did 100 years ago. Maybe that specific one, I don't know. But I don't know enough about this to comment.
Well, and you can't even label the general group or the umbrella of all the people. It's sort of like saying all the people of this country are bad because the country is run by bad people, right? Well, it's not true. The people are probably fine. It's the bad government that's there, right? Or it's the evil dictatorship. So
yeah, the Chinese people are some of the most amazing people.
Exactly.
But their government is horrible.
Yeah, and the same would hold true in religion. You can't just sort of throw out an entire group of a sect of religion and say it's bad just because there's been a couple of bad things here, or even some bad leadership for a time period or long time periods. It doesn't mean all the congregation is bad.
I bet you there were some badass Buddhas out there, like like drinking alcohol and smacking them, for the Buddha, You never know. I watch out over my shoulder. Hey, Buddha, whoa, watch out.
Smack the gong a little bit harder than they're supposed to.
Whoa, why are you wearing sumo stuff? Oh, you're not. Oh, you're Buddha. You crazy, man. How are you so quiet? How are you so quiet? When an escalator stops working, it's just stairs. All right, let's keep going. Okay. So if you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the greatest, and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. They give us a small commission for sending you their way, and then it helps our channel at the same time. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. So I appreciate it. Have a good day. Dex, the web only. There is a lot of crazy stuff here, especially about the counting.
Yeah, the counting keeps going on. Lots of great things going on, or interesting things going on every day coming out of there. So go check it out, marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show. Scroll down to web-only content. There's a new passport that has come out over in Europe. It's specifically in France, but probably going to be in other places. And there's been a lot of people upset with it. There's some more information about that. You can check it out there. A lot of information from the bean counters and other states that are getting involved and what's happening there. So, and even something that was censored by a platform, a government meeting that went down and it got censored. So take a look. Lots of stuff. marfooglenews.com. It's everything we can't tell you on the show or cover. Scroll down, web-only content.
Yes, the platform that this government meeting was talking about censored the government meeting about their platform. Okay, anyways, check it out, marfooglenews.com. Thank you, Bill I. Jean says, Marf, look up autoimmune paleo diet. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you. Johnny Doom Wifey says, much love from the Johnny Doom family. Michael Herring, I appreciate you. Gagsden, Christina Faith, and then everybody over on D-Live that has been supporting the whole show. Ski Ball. Dex, can you tell me oh no, Kelly2334 says we lost power. Dang. Where are you at? Or not exactly, but what state? Is it because of the storm? Oh, you just said there was a storm. I'm sorry. I am praying for you. And then Priscilla R. Salute and thank you so much for your support tonight. Dex, can you tell me who the top 3 over on D-Live is? I know who the top over on YouTube is. That's for dang sure.
Absolutely. In the number 3 position, we have Stormy Weather. In number 2, it's Zippy Moons. And in the number 1 position, thank you very much, is Ski Ball.
Stormy Weather, thank you. Zippy Moons, thank you. Ski Ball, huge. I must have missed a couple of Ninja Guineas or something because I really do appreciate that. And then Gone Girl 777. And then thank you, Anna's Lily's mom, for your support yesterday. And then, of course, we have King's Child. The King's Child is the number 1 tonight. Again, thank you, and thank you. Trinity, I want to say something special about you. So it says, awesome show and work. I'm slowly getting my voice back. My stomach acid burned my vocal cords. Stay healthy and alkaline. Test pH levels in water you drink. Love you all. I'll be back streaming and grateful for everyone. So Trinity is one of our mods, and she has been going through health issues, but like serious, scary ones. I just hope that everybody can send a prayer Trinity's way. Trinity, who named her name, this absurd thing, actually kept it. because so many people knew it. Trinity, red or blue pill. Hi ho, Kermit the Frog here. Dex, can we link Trinity's channel on there if she's going to get back to streaming? We hope to love mob her. She is going to get back to stuff again. She's had some really horrible and scary things happening. So if we can send all of our love Trinity's way, that would be great. But Trinity, please, you could have done the same thing with a $2 thing. So thank you. Dex, can we do that?
Yeah, we'll take care of it. Not a problem.
Okay, and then Trinity, I'll try to stop by your live and return that favor. Thank you. Love you guys. And now is officially time for the shoutro. It's not a shoutro. It's not an outro. It's an outro. I just did that wrong, didn't I? Dex, did I do that wrong?
Yeah, you're a little backwards there.
Okay, it's not wait. It's not an outro. What do I usually say?
It's not a shout out. It's not an outro.
What is it?
It's a shoutro.
Thank you. Have a good night.
On my door, you better expect it. I've got 1, 2, 3, and 45 reasons for you to run. If you knock on my door, you better expect it. I've got 1, 2, 3, and 45 reasons for you to run. If you knock on my door, you better expect it. Gonna do everything I can. I love it, I drive down, I do it back. I love you guys, bring it back. I do it down, and know it not. King's child, going back. I've been a fight, all day, all day. Oh, remember Christmas, that incident, maybe a laser. Oh, Samson's and no more house out, but really leather. Bread of people, I appreciate. Hey, you take awesome things from all the news. I love you all and all the doers. And Steve McCullough, I thanks for lover. I can't stop, bring it down. I bring it up, don't bring it down. On God's there, Christine, on faith. I said low, Shelby on that Cobra, going right back. I know I do it back. Josh Shepard, hey, bring it back down. Polo, on the bring back down. And the Jolo, on the deep down. And there's Lily Mom, thanks, keep up the great work. Josh on the Shepherd, on the Bill I Jean. I said, and it's Lily's mom, thanks for being. I said, won't no bringing it down and the bring it up in the I said, a frog at the Atari game is what we do today. I said, a ski ball, ski ball, ski ball, ski ball, ski ball, ski ball, ski ball. Skee ball, skee ball, skee ball, skee ball, skee ball, skee ball, skee ball. I was on the being on back on. Everybody really wanna get a bag on. If you come to my door and you knock on the back me, I'm gonna be sending you packing that other way. Get away from my house and go the other way. I'm about to go bring out my 45. If you step on my side, on the line, which is the property, I want you to step on the yardie. Hey, you better go the opposite way. I tell ya. Health pass, you can't shove that health pass in your. Oh, I said it, I love it, I never regret it. I bet it, I did it, bang around and I love it. Don't know. tripping. Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. Don't get yourself flow wet, cold tripping. Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. Don't get yourself flow wet, cold tripping. Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. Gotta bring it back down, do it like this now. I got the terror beat late on the late T. Stormy weather and the mist are stealthy. Y'all come back and see us again. We leave the lights on for you in the end. I love Jesus forever. A Priscilla or Mr. Chusky 420 Etta. I bring it back like Mrs. Loretta. A-Dex, J, and the Bear Cars. Carolina roots and breaking all the laws. Aussie girl of the outro. Miss Jammer in the shoutro. And the Lord Adam and the Dex family. I bring it back down now, scandally. On clad, on I'm glad, I'm bringing out the bag with the Charlie 64 and the massive big tie. Bone now, with the bugger out 45. Miss a kite and to bring it down, miss her. Going down Mark Edward and Holiday, kiss her. A sherry on the zirco, color on the purple. Sherry on the zirco, on the color, on the Sherry on the zirco, color purple. Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. Don't get yourself flow wet, cold tripping. Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. Don't get yourself flow wet, cold tripping. Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. Got to bring it back, Stephen McMahon. And this Lily Mom and doing what she can. Millie Arnold bring back on the Bill of Jane. Bring it back around and it never sit mean. Johnny Doom wifey, thanks for the nicey. Bring it back down and the drinks on iced tea. Key drink, on strong on the gym, be long. Do it down like a sea strong. On the be long. Going down and she'll be in the doctors, it won't be long. In the haunted dog, dusty digger. I think it of every single day that it get bigger. Bring it during the day and the crowds are a demonstrator. Doing everything they do and they're bringing haters. Oh, now with the haunted owl. Going background now with the haunted dog. Kelly Ayers, remember Christmas. On the bin, on the bag, in the misfit. Oh, Steve on the Macalo. Kings on the child. King's child. Kings on the child, yo. Been a real while, yo. Kings on the child, yo, been on a while, yo. Kings on the child, yo, been on a while, yo. Kings on the child, yo, been on a while, yo. Kings on the child, yo, been on a while, yo. Kings on the child, yo, been on a while, yo. Hey, 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 hey. Kings on the child, yo, been a while, yo. Kings on the child, yo, been a while, yo. Kings on the child, yo, been a while, yo. Kings on the child, yo. Been a while, Kings on the child. Been a while, Kings on the child. Been a while, Kings on the child. Been a while. Bring it on it down, I'll do it all day. Bring it like a Snoop Deal double day. Bring it with the Kelly Ayers. It's like a house with many mayors. Do it right back, do it dire. In the back of a Cadillac, do it like this and I do it like that and I bring it like right there. Oh, Google got so much soul dripping. Don't get yourself blow wet, cold tripping. Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. Don't get yourself blow wet, cold tripping. Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. I got the Mandela effect. Respiratory James, everybody gon' get collected. A true man, that Planet Dex watcher, Sally Gergo in the potato stones. Going back around now, I gotta eat my corn. Big and strong like a brandy Yocom. Hey, hit it with the bring it down, shit it like I never did David Carter. I bring it Julia Spence just a little bit harder. Hey, everybody return them. Oh, now, I do it down. Hey, live rap on the Mandela, okay? Bring it back now, Stella on the old site. Told me whether everybody gonna be better. I want Eric HB, so a little harder. I bring it down, everybody gonna back it down. Don't Icy Hellraiser 524. Sandy 3334 more. Chiefly on the chiefly. Gonna bring it down back like a piglet. Gonna save yourself, sheepo. Hey, on the J-Stone. Oh, bring it down, everybody already know. Terra be late on the seaplane. Lady one on the be late on the relay. About to pass off the sailing to the boat down, and we elate. Fragile. It's about that beat your bun. It's about that dagged and stump. Dagged on the stump, beat on the bump. 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 Dagged on the stump, beat on the bump.